Welcome to episode 3 of the Shutdown series. I'm here with Valor Christian High School baseball and softball coach Keith Wahl. Keith, you got through one of your seasons this year, and obviously the spring baseball season it didn't happen. I was actually talking to your AD, Brian Bond, and he mentioned that you guys were about to leave for your spring break tournament when the decision got handed down. What was that like that day?
Man, that was really, really difficult. We were looking forward to that trip big time. We had IMG on the schedule. We had La Mirada from California, who has a kid throwing between 98 and 99 miles an hour. We had Jenks from Oklahoma on the schedule. We were really looking forward to getting on the national map, and it was one of the hardest decisions I had to make. And we actually made it hours before the Rudy Gobert deal on NBA and everything else happened that night. So I had talked to our head of school. I had just counseled with some people, and ultimately it was the right thing to do. And then all of a sudden, everything hit the fan right after.
So you obviously have seniors on the team who some are signed, some are not playing college. What were those conversations like with those guys, specifically guys who may not have made a decision on where to go to college next year or whether they're going to play in college, telling them that they had to lose their final season of high school baseball? How did that go?
Well, for most guys in baseball, they're signed, they're sealed, they know where they're going to head. So even the couple that we had who were deciding between a couple different places. So that part of it hasn't been all that difficult. Our guys have been pretty active on the recruiting trail, and so for us, I didn't see that being as big a deal. But for those athletes out there who are looking for junior college, Division II NAIA opportunities, to lose your senior year is crushing, I am sure.
What about some of the younger guys who, I know you have a few guys who are already signed as sophomores or juniors on your team, and plenty of guys who aren't, just because that's early for anybody to be doing something like that. What was that kind of like, talking to them about, hey, you're losing this season kind of in the middle of your high school career where a lot of you are going to get looks because you're at that age?
Yeah, I think that one of the benefits that we had was that we had gone through the tryout process, and so everyone knew what level they were making, which is the first stressor for the springtime. But now that we know who our varsity team was going to be, now we can work and we can backfill and we can say, listen, recruiters, this is who you have in these juniors and sophomores and freshmen. And we can reach out, and we are reaching out a lot right now to a lot of different schools at a lot of different levels. But ultimately losing the spring season, that 20 to 23, however many games, that you get, ultimately that's kind of like, okay, we can live with that. The thing I'm more concerned about is, what if they lose their entire club season for the summer and fall? That's where all of a sudden, if 2020 is a total washout, I'm not sure how to help through that, other than to just help them spiritually and really just try to feed into them and help them continue to develop.
I know Valor baseball is really huge on the brotherhood. I mean, I've seen it up close and personal for pretty much the past decade, being on the periphery of the program. How are you continuing that idea and keeping in relationship with all these guys through this?
Yeah, so we have, as coaches, we've done a number of things. The first week out, I made a personal phone call to all the varsity players. And then what we started, which is what everyone else is doing, we started Zoom calls. And so we're doing a team meeting a week. I'm meeting with the JV guys today. I'll meet with the C team guys tomorrow, varsity guys on Friday. And so we're just trying to continue that brotherhood feel. And it's really fun, though, when you get on that Zoom call. The jokes are still there. The fun is still there. The camaraderie is there. And it's a feel. It's a feel that you get when you go to the ballpark, but that feel is still there on Zoom. And that's been really great. And the other part that's been really cool for us is not just sharing our own brotherhood with ourselves, but then also sharing it with the baseball community as a whole. On last week on Wednesday, and then this past week on Monday, I had the chance to talk to a number of coaches throughout the state. We had 40 of us on a call on Monday where I had a chance to share, listen, get on Zoom, get on Google Hangouts, get on something to stay connected with your guys. And I'm really encouraged by the number of coaches out there who are already doing that as well.
That's awesome to hear. It's really the only thing you can do at this point. From a coaching perspective, you've talked about how you're staying in communication with your guys. You're trying to stay in communication with potential recruiters, telling them, hey, this is what you have. What are you doing from a planning standpoint, kind of moving forward?
Well, right now, I'm just staying hopeful that at the end of April we're able to have a shortened season. That hope is there. Sometimes it feels like it's dwindling a little bit here and there, but I'm already starting to meet with our softball girls. We did a softball Zoom meeting yesterday and starting to engage in those conversations. Right now, it's just kind of a wait and see. I know all the guys are throwing. I know they're lifting. I know they're running. I know they're doing defense and getting their hitting work in. Can't believe the number of kids that have the hitting setups in their garage and basement. They're all getting their hacks in. So that part has been encouraging. But right now it's just holding on to hope and then being ready to react once a plan does get put in place.
What do you expect a shortened season to look like if you do get started at what now seems like a kind of hopeful end of April, early May situation?
I'm going to assume that it's largely focused on your league. I would anticipate that first. I would also anticipate a widened postseason field. I would hope anyway. I think it's going to be hard for everyone to understand where everyone actually is if you just play in your league. So I guess I'm hopeful that there's some of those kinds of things in play. But just trying to figure out how to do a sprint instead of a marathon really is what it boils down to.
How will that change your outlook based on player decisions, position decisions, who to start on the mound when, and when to take those guys out and bring in a relief guy?
Well, we're incredibly fortunate. We've got at least 8 guys on the mound that I feel very confident in. We've talked at the state level about lowering pitch count and saying instead of the 110, lowering that to 75, which is our JV and C team limits right now. And if that happens, that's fine. I think it's wise. I think it's good. And we have a lot of arms that we can go to. So we're certainly blessed in that way. But I think it'll be really interesting to see what other teams are able to pull together if you do go with a lower pitch count instead of the higher pitch count.
Cool. Well, let's work into some theoreticals now. Let's say the season was happening as it was supposed to before everything kind of went down. Where do you see your team competing at this year?
Well, we were already ranked both by CHSA and by PBR as a top 10 team in the state of Colorado. I think that's entirely fair. I would anticipate this team, and this is probably the hardest part of it. I would have anticipated this team really making a nice run into the double elimination state round. And so that part of it is really tough. Been doing a little reading about the 1994 Expos. I don't know how many people out there are familiar, but that's the team. They had won, I think it was 20 of 26 games before the strike shortened their season. And so, but they were you got to go back and look at their roster. They were just loaded. You got young Pedro on the mound. You've got John Wetland as a closer. You've got Marquise Grissom and Alou, and they were loaded to bear, and they were fun to watch. Larry Walker on that club as well. So there's there's a little bit of a kindred spirit there where I'm like, man, that could have been one of the greatest teams of all time, and they never got to play in the World Series. And that's what our guys are feeling right now, is that they really felt like they could have been one of the great Valor baseball teams, and they may not get to play an inning together.
Yeah, that Expo squad was something to behold. It was before my time, but just reading about it and listening to other people talk about it, one of the greatest what ifs in the MLB history. How are you kind of reconciling that idea with your players? Are they of the same mind where they're thinking, hey, we had a chance to be really special this year and we're kind of getting screwed out of it now? How are you handling those conversations?
Yeah. really, to me, it boils down to sharing that with them. Trying to hold on to hope, first of all, lead from that standpoint that, hey, we might still get a chance to hit the field together, and hold on to that hope. But also then mourn with them a little bit, because I feel the same way that they do. This is a really special group of young men. We came back from our retreat. We were ready to go. And I think it's lead from hope ultimately, and then it's just, continue to mourn with them as they share with me. Our catcher shared with me just how disappointed he was, how much he missed me, the brotherhood, and everybody, just a couple nights ago. But you sit in that with them. You don't get them to change their mind. You don't do that. Hold on to hope and sit in that difficulty with them.
Do you have anything in the works for if the season doesn't happen, how you're going to honor your seniors? Have you started thinking about that at all?
We've only started some beginning discussions around that. We were kind of joking around the other day about having our Adidas and East Bay people just make up 2020 state champions and just plant the flag and saying, let's get some gear out there. Let's just do it just for fun. But no, I mean, nothing in particular right now, outside of, what can we do virtually? What can we do on social, through videos and things like that, but nothing finalized yet.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope you guys get a chance to play. I know a lot of the guys that you're working with on a daily basis on that squad, and it's just an incredible group. I'm bummed for them. My heart goes out to them that they might not be able to play this year, but like you said, we just got to hold on hope that these guys are going to get a chance to take the field.
That's right. So I'll keep sitting here hoping, and we'll see if that hope comes true.
Awesome. Thanks for watching episode 3 of the Shutdown Stories. Keith Wahl and Nate Stein. Keep an eye out for episode 4 coming up soon.